Hello, story lovers, and welcome to Infidelity Tales Lab. We're grateful for having such amazing viewers like you. Tell us, which part of the world are you watching from today? Morning coffee or evening wind down? Share below. Now, let's dive into today's story. Chapter 1, Broken Vows. Warren Blackwood stood in his workshop, the smell of fresh-cut cedar filling his nostrils as he ran his calloused hands over the polished surface of the handcrafted jewelry box. The intricate vine pattern he'd carved along its edges had taken weeks to perfect. Inside, he'd inscribed a simple message: "To Lily, my greatest creation. Love, Dad." As the owner of Blackwood Custom Furniture, Warren had built a reputation for creating heirloom pieces that told stories. His large frame, weathered face, and prematurely gray hair at 45 made him look older than his years, but his hands remained steady and precise. The workshop had been his sanctuary since Denise had left, taking 16-year-old Lily with her. "You think she'll like it?" Warren asked, glancing at Floyd Kowalski, his oldest friend who sat on a sawdust-covered stool, nursing a beer. Floyd, a former Marine turned bar owner with a perpetual 5 o'clock shadow, shrugged. "It's beautiful, War, but you know how Denise poisons everything." Warren winced at the truth in Floyd's words. 7 years ago, his world had imploded when he discovered Denise's affair with Victor Preston, a slick real estate developer with shark-like instincts and the moral compass of a rattlesnake. The divorce had been brutal, with Denise painting Warren as a workaholic who neglected his family, conveniently omitting her year-long affair. "I still remember the day I met her," Warren said, carefully placing the jewelry box in its protective case. "Community college art class. She was painting this terrible landscape." A rare smile crossed his face. "Told her it looked like her trees were melting." "Should have run when you saw those melting trees," Floyd quipped, earning a glare from Warren. Warren's phone buzzed. A rare text from Lily. "Mom said to tell you I'm engaged. Wedding in 3 months. Jackson's family is paying for everything. No invitation. No request for his blessing. Just an impersonal announcement. She's getting married," Warren said, his voice hollow. "My baby girl. To the Reed kid? Shit, that's Howard Reed's son, the tech mogul." Warren nodded. He'd seen the society page announcement 2 weeks ago. Jackson Reed, 28, heir to Reed Technologies, engaged to Lillian Thorne, 23, graduate student in art history. The photo showed a handsome young man with a warm smile and his arm around Lily, Warren's daughter, who had his eyes but Denise's golden hair and delicate features. Warren tried calling Lily, but the call went straight to voicemail. He left a message congratulating her, asking if they could meet for coffee. He wanted to give her the jewelry box in person, to see her face when she opened it. Later that evening, Warren drove to his modest suburban home, passing through the wealthy neighborhood where Denise now lived with Victor. Their house was a modernist monstrosity, all glass and sharp angles. Warren had driven past it countless times, imagining Victor smugly enjoying the life built with Denise's divorce settlement and his shady real estate deals. Inside his home, Warren opened his laptop and searched for information about Jackson Reed. By all accounts, the young man seemed decent, graduated with honors from Stanford, worked his way up at his father's company rather than demanding an executive position, volunteered with technology education programs for underprivileged youth. Warren's phone rang. It was Pauline Collins, Denise's younger sister. "Warren, I thought you should know," Pauline said without preamble. "Denise and Victor are planning to exclude you from the wedding." Warren's grip tightened on the phone. "What do you mean?" "They're telling Lily you're too unpredictable, that you might cause a scene." Pauline's voice dropped. "I've tried talking to Denise, but Victor has her convinced you'll ruin everything." "I'm her father, Pauline." "I know. It's wrong. That's why I'm calling." She paused. "There's something else. I don't think Victor is who he pretends to be. Denise mentions money problems sometimes, then clams up. When I push, she gets defensive." Warren thanked Pauline for the information. After hanging up, he stared at Lily's graduation photo, the last time he'd seen her in person. She'd barely spoken to him, kept her distance at Denise's insistence. "I won't let them take this from me, too," Warren whispered to the empty room. The next morning, Warren visited Tessa Wong, a private investigator he'd hired during the divorce. Tessa operated out of a small office above a Vietnamese restaurant. Her space neat, but utilitarian. "I need information on Victor Preston," Warren explained after they exchanged greetings, "and his relationship with my ex-wife." Tessa, a compact woman with shrewd eyes and a no-nonsense attitude, nodded. "Financial situation? Personal history? Criminal record? Everything. And I need to know about a woman named Glenda. I think she was Victor's ex before Denise." "This about your daughter's wedding?" Warren nodded grimly. "They're trying to keep me out of it. Family situations are messy," Tessa said, making notes. "What's your endgame here, Warren?" "I want my daughter back," Warren said simply. "And I want the truth to come out." After leaving Tessa's office, Warren drove to his workshop and immersed himself in work. As he shaped a piece of walnut, his mind drifted to memories of teaching 5-year-old Lily to sandwood, her small hands in his as they worked together. The pride in her eyes when they finished their first project, a simple birdhouse. By evening, Warren had made a decision. He wouldn't fight for an invitation. He would attend his daughter's wedding as any father should, and no one, not Denise, not Victor, would stop him. Chapter 2. The Uninvited. The Lakeside Gardens reception hall gleamed with tasteful opulence. Flower arrangements worth more than Warren's monthly mortgage payment adorned every table. The guest list read like a who's who of the city's elite, politicians, business leaders, and socialites mingling over champagne. Warren adjusted his tie, the same one he'd worn to Lily's high school graduation, and approached the reception desk with the jewelry box tucked under his arm. He'd dressed in his best suit, had his hair trimmed, determined to look presentable for his daughter's special day. "Good evening," Warren said to the young woman, checking names off the guest list. "Warren Blackwood, father of the bride." The woman smiled politely and scanned her tablet. Her smile faltered. "I'm sorry, sir. I don't see your name on the list." Warren felt a cold weight settle in his stomach. "There must be a mistake. I'm Lillian Thorne's father." The woman looked uncomfortable. "Let me check again." After a moment, she shook her head. "I'm sorry, Mr. Blackwood. Your name isn't on the approved guest list." Warren stood frozen, acutely aware of the stares from nearby guests. The jewelry box felt heavy in his hands. "Warren," Denise's voice cut through his humiliation. She approached in a designer dress that probably cost more than his car, her blonde hair styled immaculately, looking barely a day over 35 despite being 50. "Denise," Warren acknowledged, keeping his voice steady. "There seems to be a misunderstanding. My name isn't on the guest list." Denise's smile was practiced, polite for any onlookers, but her eyes were cold. "It's not a misunderstanding." Warren felt his face flush with anger, but kept his composure. "She's my daughter too. Is she?" Denise stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Where were you when she needed braces? When she had panic attacks before college interviews? When she cried over her first breakup? You know damn well I tried to be there. You blocked me at every turn." Victor appeared at Denise's side, a proprietary hand sliding around her waist. At 53, he still maintained the lean physique of a man who spent more time on appearances than substance. His silver-flecked dark hair was expensively cut, his smile practiced. "Problem here?" Victor asked, his voice smooth but with an undercurrent of warning. "No problem," Warren said, meeting Victor's gaze directly. "I came to give my daughter a wedding gift and wish her happiness." "You can leave it with us," Victor said dismissively. Warren shook his head. "I'd like to give it to her myself." "That's not happening," Victor said, dropping all pretense of civility. "Security is very strict about uninvited guests." Warren looked past them, hoping to catch a glimpse of Lily. Did she know? Did Lily agree to ban her own father from her wedding? A flicker of discomfort crossed Denise's face. "We made the decision for her. Today is stressful enough without adding family drama." "Sorry, your name isn't on the list." Warren repeated the receptionist's words. "Is that what you told her? That I'm not family anymore?" Denise's expression hardened. "You forfeited that right years ago." Warren felt a surge of anger, but suppressed it. He wouldn't give them the satisfaction of losing control. He looked directly at Denise. "Did you really think you were invited? Strangers aren't allowed." Victor stepped forward, intimidating. You heard my wife. You're not welcome here. Warren looked at both of them, a calm settling over him. Then I'll live like a stranger. He placed the jewelry box on the reception desk. Make sure she gets this. With dignity intact, Warren turned and walked toward the exit, ignoring the curious stares of the other guests. Outside, he paused to take a deep breath of the cool evening air, his hands trembling slightly. The valets watched him sympathetically as he walked to his truck parked across the street. He hadn't even used the valet service, sensing he might need a quick exit. As Warren sat in his truck, staring at the glittering venue, his phone rang. Floyd, how'd it go? Floyd asked. About as expected, Warren replied, his voice tight. Come to the bar. First round's on me. Warren started the engine, but couldn't bring himself to drive away just yet. Through the windows of the venue, he could see the celebration continuing without him. Somewhere inside, his daughter was celebrating the most important day of her young life, and he wasn't allowed to witness it. His phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Mr. Blackwood, this is Jackson Reed. We need to talk about what just happened. My fiancée should have her father at our wedding. Warren stared at the message, a small flame of hope flickering to life. Chapter 3. The Groom's Stand. Jackson Reed had grown up with everything money could buy, but his mother's early death had taught him the one thing wealth couldn't purchase: time with family. At 28, he had his father's analytical mind and his mother's compassion, a combination that served him well as the innovation director at Reed Technologies. When he spotted Warren Blackwood being turned away from the wedding reception, something didn't sit right. The man hadn't caused a scene, hadn't raised his voice. He'd simply left with dignity, leaving behind a beautifully wrapped package. Jackson excused himself from a conversation with his father's business associates and found Lily surrounded by bridesmaids. Can we talk privately for a minute? He asked, taking her hand. In a quiet corner, Jackson chose his words carefully. I just saw your dad try to attend the reception. He was turned away. Lily's blue eyes, so like Warren's, widened in surprise. Dad came. You didn't know he was coming? Mom said he declined the invitation, that he was too busy with work. Lily's voice faltered. He wasn't invited, was he? Jackson shook his head. From what I could see, your mother and Victor had him removed from the guest list. Lily's face crumpled. They promised me they'd invited him. I should have checked myself, but with all the wedding planning and my thesis defense. Jackson held her hands. It's not too late. The ceremony isn't until tomorrow. We can call him. Lily hesitated, years of manipulated perceptions creating doubt. Mom always said he chose his business over us, that he didn't fight for custody because he didn't want the responsibility. Is that why you've been distant with him? Lily, have you ever asked him his side? Lily stopped. No, I just accepted what Mom told me. Jackson took out his phone. I got his number from the vendor list. Your mom tried to remove it, but I saw that he made the arch we're getting married under. Lily's eyes filled with tears. He did. She told me it was from Victor's architect friend. It has a small WB carved into the back. I noticed it during the venue setup. Jackson squeezed her hand. Call him Lily. Lily took the phone, but hesitated. What if Mom's right? What if he doesn't care? The man I saw tonight brought a gift and wore a suit that's seen better days. He didn't make a scene when turned away. That's not the action of someone who doesn't care. While Lily considered this, Jackson went in search of Denise and Victor. He found them mingling with guests, playing the perfect hosts. Could I speak with you both privately? Jackson asked, his polite tone masking his anger. In a side room, Jackson dispensed with pleasantries. Why wasn't Lily's father invited to our wedding? Victor stepped forward, placating. Jackson, there's history here you don't understand. Warren has anger issues. He's unpredictable. Really? Because the man I just saw leave was completely dignified despite being humiliated. Denise touched Jackson's arm. Sweetie, we were protecting Lily. Warren abandoned us years ago. That's not what his employee told me when I commissioned the wedding arch, Jackson countered. He said Warren fought for visitation rights for years before Lily started refusing to see him. Denise's smile faltered. His employee would say that. Why did you lie to Lily about the arch? Why tell her Warren declined an invitation that was never sent? Victor's expression hardened. Listen, son. I'm not your son, Jackson interrupted. And I'm starting to wonder what else you've lied about. We've welcomed you into our family, Denise said, her voice brittle. Don't throw that away over Warren's manipulation. Jackson stepped back. I've texted Warren. I want him at our wedding tomorrow. If you care about Lily's happiness, you'll fix this. Jackson left them and returned to Lily, who was staring at his phone, her thumb hovering over the call button. I can't do it, she whispered. Not over the phone. I need to see him. Then let's go, Jackson said decisively. Now, leave our own rehearsal dinner. If not now, when? At Floyd's Bar and Grill, Warren sat nursing a whiskey, recounting the evening's humiliation to Floyd and Marlene Russo, the owner of the vintage furniture store next to Warren's workshop. At 43, Marlene had the confident air of a woman comfortable in her own skin, her dark curls streaked with silver, brown eyes warm with concern. You should have let me come with you, Marlene said. I'd have given that plastic surgery princess a piece of my mind. And played right into their hands, Warren replied. Victor would have loved nothing more than to have me cause a scene. The door to the bar opened, and Warren froze mid-sentence. Lily stood in the entrance, Jackson Reed beside her, both still in their formal attire from the rehearsal dinner. Floyd nudged Warren. Incoming. Warren stood as Lily approached, taking in the sight of his daughter, her golden hair, his blue eyes, her mother's delicate chin. She'd grown into a beautiful woman in the years they'd been estranged. Dad, Lily said, her voice small. Lily, Warren replied, unsure what to say next. Jackson stepped forward, offering his hand. Mr. Blackwood, I'm Jackson Reed. I'm very sorry about what happened tonight. Warren shook the younger man's hand, noting his firm grip and direct gaze. Call me Warren. An awkward silence fell. Marlene broke it with characteristic directness. I'm going to take Floyd to help me inventory the bar, she announced, dragging a protesting Floyd away. Left alone with the young couple, Warren gestured to the booth. Would you like to sit? They slid into the booth. Lily perched nervously on the edge of her seat. I didn't know you weren't invited, she blurted out. Mom told me you declined. Warren's jaw tightened. That's not true. I never received an invitation to decline. I should have known. I should have called you myself. It's not your fault, Lily. But it is, she insisted. I believed everything they told me about you. That you didn't fight for custody. That you didn't want to be involved in my life. Warren felt old anger rising. I filed for joint custody. Your mother fought it with expensive lawyers. When that didn't work, she convinced you I was the villain. Lily looked down at her hands. I remember her crying, saying you wanted to take me away from her. That you thought she was a bad mother. I never said that. Warren's voice was firm but gentle. Your mother is many things, but I always respected her as your mother. Jackson observed the exchange quietly, then spoke. Warren, I want you at our wedding tomorrow. You should be walking Lily down the aisle. Warren looked at his daughter. Is that what you want, Lily? Lily met his gaze, tears in her eyes. I don't know. I'm so confused right now. All these years, I thought. She trailed off. I need time to process this. Warren nodded, understanding. Take all the time you need. But know this. I have always loved you, Lily. That never changed, not for one day. Lily wiped away a tear. The ceremony is at 2 p.m. tomorrow. I'd like you to be there, even if you're not walking me down the aisle yet. Warren felt a mixture of hope and caution. Your mother and Victor won't like it. It's my wedding, Lily said with newfound resolve. And you're my father. Jackson smiled, squeezing Lily's hand. That's settled then. As the couple prepared to leave, Warren remembered something. Did they give you my gift? Lily shook her head. What gift? A jewelry box. I made it for you. No, they didn't mention any gift. Lily looked troubled by this additional deception. Warren nodded, unsurprised. I'll bring another one tomorrow. After they left, Marlene returned to the booth, sliding it across from Warren. Well, what happened? I'm going to my daughter's wedding, Warren said simply. Marlene smiled, raising her glass. To second chances. Warren clinked his glass against hers, but a nagging doubt remained. Denise and Victor wouldn't give up so easily. They fought to keep him away from Lily for years. They wouldn't stop now just because the groom intervened. His phone began ringing incessantly. Denise's name flashed on the screen. Warren, her voice was tightly controlled when he answered. Jackson says he's invited you to the wedding. That's right. If you care about Lily at all, you'll decline. Your presence will only upset her on her special day. Warren laughed bitterly. Strange. I just spoke with Lily. She didn't seem upset about me attending. Denise's voice turned venomous. You always were good at manipulating her. Victor and I have spent years protecting her from your influence. Is that what you call lying to her? Protection? We did what was necessary. The lies stop now, Denise, Warren said firmly. I'm attending my daughter's wedding. If anyone causes a scene, it won't be me. He ended the call, turning to find Marlene watching him with a mix of concern and admiration. You okay? She asked. Warren took a deep breath. Tomorrow's going to be interesting. Want backup? I clean up nice. Warren considered the offer. Actually, I think I would. As he drove home that night, Warren realized that for the first time in years, he felt something like hope. Fragile, vulnerable, but undeniably present. Chapter 4. Harsh Truths. The St. Augustine Episcopal Church stood as an architectural testament to old money and tradition, its stone facade gleaming in the afternoon sunlight. Inside, the pews were filled with the city's elite, their hushed conversations creating a gentle hum that echoed through the vaulted ceiling. Warren and Marlene slipped in quietly, choosing seats toward the back. Warren wore a new charcoal suit purchased that morning at Marlene's insistence. If you're walking into the lion's den, she'd said, at least look like the better lion. Marlene, in a deep green dress that complemented her olive complexion, squeezed his hand reassuringly. You good? Warren nodded, though his heart pounded. He brought another jewelry box, identical to the first, wrapped in silver paper. Several guests glanced their way, whispering behind programs. Warren recognized some faces from business functions, people who'd heard Denise and Victor's version of events for years. Quite the crowd, Marlene murmured. Half of them look like they're here for the networking opportunities rather than the wedding. Victor's circle, Warren confirmed. Business associates, political connections. He collects people like trading cards. The organ began playing, signaling the start of the ceremony. Warren watched as Jackson entered with the minister, looking confident in his tailored tuxedo. Howard Reed, Jackson's father, followed as best man, a tall, distinguished man with the same kind eyes as his son. When the bridal march began, Warren held his breath. Lily appeared at the back of the church on Victor's arm, resplendent in an elegant gown of ivory lace. Warren felt a stab of grief. It should have been him walking her down the aisle, not the man who'd helped destroy his family. Lily's eyes scanned the congregation as she walked, stopping when she found Warren. She gave him a small, uncertain smile that made his heart clench. The ceremony proceeded with rehearsed precision. When a minister asked, "Who gives this woman to be married?" Victor's smug reply of "Her mother and I do," made Warren's jaw tighten. Marlene placed a calming hand on his arm. As the newlyweds shared their first kiss, Warren blinked back unexpected tears. Despite everything, seeing his daughter happy filled him with a bittersweet joy. At the reception, Warren and Marlene found themselves seated at a table far from the wedding party, a final petty gesture from Denise. They were joined by distant relatives of Jackson, who seemed equally out of favor. Warren Blackwood, a deep voice said from behind him. Howard Reed extended his hand. Jackson's told me about you. I'm sorry for the circumstances. Warren stood, shaking Howard's hand. Thank you for having me. Nonsense. You're Lily's father. You belong here. Howard's direct gaze reminded Warren of his sons. Jackson speaks highly of your craftsmanship. The wedding arch is exceptional work. Thank you. It was a labor of love. Howard nodded toward Denise and Victor, who were watching their interaction with barely concealed displeasure. Those two have been attempting damage control all day, spinning some tale about family reconciliation being their idea. Warren managed a tight smile. Sounds like them. I've built my business on being able to read people, Warren, and those two read like bad fiction. Howard handed Warren a business card. Call me next week. I'd like to discuss commissioning some pieces for our new corporate headquarters. As Howard walked away, Marlene gave a low whistle. Howard Reed wants to work with you? That's huge. It's probably just pity, Warren said, but pocketed the card carefully. The DJ announced the father-daughter dance, and Warren watched as Victor led Lily onto the dance floor. The sight was like a physical blow. Warren, a familiar voice, interrupted his thoughts. Pauline Collins stood beside their table, looking uncomfortable in her bridesmaid dress. "Could we talk privately?" In a quiet corner of the venue, Pauline spoke quickly. "Denise is fuming that you're here. But I wanted you to know, Lily came to me last night, asking questions about the divorce. Real questions for the first time." Hope flared in Warren's chest. "What did you tell her?" "The truth. That Denise was unfaithful. That you fought for custody until Lily started refusing to see you." Pauline glanced around nervously. "There's something else. Victor's in financial trouble. I overheard him arguing with someone on the phone about payment deadlines." "Do you know what kind of trouble?" Pauline shook her head. "But it's serious. Denise has been liquidating her investments, and they've listed their vacation home in Sedona." Warren processed this information. "Thank you, Pauline. I should have spoken up years ago," she said regretfully. "After what they did to you, it wasn't right." As Pauline left, Warren noticed Victor watching them, his expression calculating. Warren returned to Marlene, summarizing the conversation. "So Victor might be going broke," Marlene mused. "That would explain the desperation to connect with the Reed fortune. And why they were so determined to keep me away," Warren added. "I'm the one variable they can't control." The reception continued, an elaborate affair with gourmet food and premium liquor flowing freely. Warren maintained his distance from Denise and Victor, focusing instead on the rare opportunity to be near his daughter. His chance came when Lily approached their table during the meal. "Dad," she said tentatively, "I'm glad you came." Warren stood. "You look beautiful, Lily." An awkward silence stretched between them, years of separation creating an almost physical barrier. "The arch is amazing," Lily finally said. "Jackson told me you made it." "I did. It was an honor." "I wish," Lily began, then stopped. "Mom kept every card and gift you sent for me. She told me you'd stopped trying to contact me years ago." Warren felt a familiar anger burning in his chest, but kept his voice even. "I never stopped trying, Lily. I sent something for every birthday, Christmas, graduation." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "I've missed so much time with you." "We can start now," Warren offered, "if you want." Before Lily could respond, Victor appeared at her side, his charming facade firmly in place. "There's my beautiful daughter," he said, pointedly ignoring Warren. "Your mother's looking for you." The photographer wants family photos. The emphasis on family was deliberate, and Warren saw Lily flinch. "Victor," Warren acknowledged coolly. "Congratulations on gaining such an accomplished son-in-law." Victor's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Jackson's a fine young man, from a fine family. The kind of connections Lily deserves." "The kind of connections you need, you mean?" Warren replied quietly. Victor's expression hardened. "Enjoy the party, Warren. It's the closest you'll get to being part of this family again." "Dad's part of my family," Lily interjected, surprising both men. "And I'd like him included in the family photos." Victor's face reddened. "Lily, your mother will understand," Lily finished firmly. "It's my wedding day, Victor. I get to decide who's in my photos." Warren followed Lily, feeling Victor's glare burning into his back. At the photo area, Denise's face went pale when she saw Warren approaching with Lily. "What is he doing here?" she hissed to Lily. "I want Dad in the family photos," Lily replied steadily. "Absolutely not," Denise snapped. "After everything he's done." "What exactly has he done, Mom?" Lily challenged. "Because Aunt Pauline tells a very different story than you do." Denise shot a venomous look toward her sister, who stood with the other bridesmaids. "Pauline doesn't know what she's talking about." 3 minutes, Lily negotiated. "Dad stands in for 3 minutes of photos, and then you get your way for the rest. It's not up for discussion." Denise relented with poor grace, positioning herself as far from Warren as possible in the group shots. The photographer, sensing the tension, worked quickly. As Warren stepped away after the photos, Howard Reed approached again. "Quite the family drama unfolding," he observed. Warren gave a rueful smile. "You could say that. Jackson values family above all else," Howard said. "Losing his mother young taught him that. He won't tolerate people who try to come between blood relations. Your son is a good man. He is. And he's chosen your daughter, which speaks well of her too. Howard regarded Warren thoughtfully. Despite the efforts of those two, he nodded toward Denise and Victor, to paint you as some kind of monster. Warren raised an eyebrow. They've been talking to you? Victor approached me about investment opportunities months ago, when Jackson and Lily first got serious. Used their relationship as an in. Howard's expression was one of distaste. I don't mix family and business that way. The conversation was interrupted by the clinking of glasses announcing the toasts. Warren watched as Victor took the microphone, playing the role of proud stepfather with practiced charm. His toast was full of platitudes about family and love that rang hollow to Warren's ears. When the formal dances began, Warren stood by the bar, watching Lily dance with Jackson, her face radiant with happiness. "May I have this dance?" Marlene appeared beside him, offering her hand. On the dance floor, Marlene studied his face. "You look like you're plotting something." "Not plotting, just thinking." "About?" "Victor's financial troubles. His desperate need to connect with the Reeds. The lies they told Lily." Warren's jaw tightened. "They stole years I can never get back with my daughter. So what now?" Warren's eyes met hers, a quiet determination in them. "Now I find out exactly what Victor's hiding, and I make sure Lily knows the truth about everything." Across the room, Victor watched them dancing, his expression calculating. Beside him, Denise sipped champagne, her perfect mask slipping to reveal the anxiety beneath. "He's getting too close," Victor murmured. "To Lily. To the Reeds." "It's one day," Denise replied. "After this, we can manage the situation." "Can we?" Victor's voice had an edge. "Your daughter is starting to ask questions. Howard Reed just spent 10 minutes talking to your ex-husband. This could unravel everything." "What do you want me to do, Victor? Cause a scene at my daughter's wedding?" Victor's grip tightened on his champagne flute. "Of course not. But when this is over, we need to contain the damage. Permanently." As the evening wound down, Warren and Lily shared a brief, awkward hug goodbye. "I'd like to have coffee sometime," Lily said. "To talk." "I'd like that very much," Warren replied, his voice thick with emotion. Driving home with Marlene, Warren felt a mixture of hope and resolve strengthening in his chest. "They didn't win," he said quietly. "No," Marlene agreed. "But they're not done fighting." Warren nodded grimly. "Neither am I." Chapter 5. Paper Trails. 1 week after the wedding, Warren sat in Tessa Wong's office, examining the files she'd compiled on Victor Preston. "He's been careful," Tessa said, tapping the thinnest folder. "No criminal record. Pays his taxes. Outwardly, he's the perfect upstanding citizen. But," Warren prompted, "but his business dealings are interesting." She opened a thicker folder. "Preston Development Group has started and dissolved 6 different LLCs in the past 5 years. Each one exists just long enough to complete a project, then disappears. Is that illegal? Not necessarily, but it's a classic way to hide money or shield yourself from liability." Tessa handed him financial statements. "He's also taken out multiple high-interest loans recently, some from legitimate banks, others from less reputable sources." Warren frowned at the documents. "He's underwater. Drowning," Tessa confirmed. "And the timing coincides with your daughter getting serious with Jackson Reed. So he sees Jackson's family as a lifeline." "Exactly. And there's more." Tessa pulled out another file. "I found Glenda Lawson, Victor's ex-wife before Denise. She lives in Phoenix now, practically in hiding." "Did you speak with her?" "Briefly. She was scared, even after all these years. But she agreed to talk to you." Tessa handed Warren a piece of paper with a phone number. "She said to tell you she's sorry about what happened with your family." Warren pocketed the number. "Anything else?" "Just this." Tessa handed him a flash drive. Financial records showing transfers from Denise's personal accounts to Victor's business accounts. Over $1 million in the past 3 years alone. Warren's jaw tightened. He's been bleeding her dry. And based on these records, she's nearly tapped out. Her divorce settlement from you is almost gone. Warren leaned back, processing this information. "Thank you, Tessa. You've been thorough, as always. There's one more thing." Tessa hesitated. "Victor's been making inquiries about you." asking around about your business, your routines. Why? I don't know. But be careful, Warren. Men like Victor get dangerous when cornered. Warren left Tessa's office with a sense of grim satisfaction. He finally had something concrete. Proof that Victor was using Denise, that their perfect life was built on deception and financial manipulation. His next stop was Reed Technologies, where Howard Reed had invited him to discuss potential commissions. The corporate headquarters occupied the top floors of a downtown high-rise, all glass and brushed steel. Howard welcomed Warren into his corner office with its panoramic views of the city. Glad you could make it. Coffee. They sat in comfortable leather chairs, discussing Warren's portfolio and Howard's vision for custom conference tables and reception desks for their new satellite offices. Your work is exceptional, Howard said, examining Warren's designs. I appreciate craftsmen who take pride in what they create. He set down the portfolio. But that's not the only reason I asked you here. Warren raised an eyebrow. Oh, Jackson and Lily returned from their honeymoon yesterday. They've been talking about you, about their wedding, about the years of separation. Howard's direct gaze was assessing. My son believes you've been wronged. Your son is perceptive. He's protective, too, of Lily, and now, by extension, of you. Howard leaned forward. Victor Preston has been attempting to involve me in his real estate ventures for months, using my son's relationship with your daughter as leverage. Has he succeeded? Howard laughed. I didn't build Reed Technologies by making emotional investment decisions. I had him vetted the minute he approached me. He slid a folder across the desk. My security team found some interesting information. Warren opened the folder to find reports similar to Tessa's, but with additional details. Connections to development projects that had cut regulatory corners, investors who had lost money in Victor's schemes. Why are you sharing this with me? Warren asked. Because I protect what's mine, Howard said simply. My son loves your daughter. That makes you family in my book. Victor Preston, on the other hand, is a parasite. I can't argue with that assessment. Let me be blunt, Warren. I believe Victor cultivated his relationship with your ex-wife specifically to gain access to your daughter, recognizing her academic potential and social connections. Warren's hands tightened on the folder. You think he targeted my family deliberately? I think Victor Preston identifies opportunities and exploits them. Your ex-wife was vulnerable after your separation. Your daughter was an investment in future connections. Howard's expression hardened. Men like that don't deserve second chances. No, Warren agreed quietly. They don't. After leaving Reed Technologies, Warren called the number Tessa had given him. Glenda Lawson answered on the third ring, her voice cautious. Mrs. Lawson, my name is Warren Blackwood. Tessa Wong gave me your number. The investigator, Glenda, confirmed. She said you're another of Victor's victims. In a manner of speaking, he's married to my ex-wife and has kept me from my daughter for years. Glenda's bitter laugh came through the phone. That sounds like Victor. He isolated me from my family, too. I'd like to hear your story, if you're willing to share it. There was a long pause. It's not something I talk about. I've spent years trying to forget. I understand, Warren said gently, but it might help my daughter and others. Another pause. I'm coming to the city next month for my niece's graduation. We could meet then. Warren agreed, thanking her for her willingness to talk. That evening, Warren met Lily for coffee at a neutral location, a quiet cafe halfway between his workshop and her new apartment with Jackson. She arrived first, nervously shredding a napkin as she waited. Dad, she said, standing as he approached. Lily, he replied, unsure whether to hug her. They settled for an awkward half-embrace before sitting. How was the honeymoon? Warren asked after they'd ordered. Beautiful. Jackson rented a villa in Santorini. Lily fidgeted with her wedding ring. I wanted to thank you for coming to the wedding. I know it couldn't have been easy. I wouldn't have missed it for anything. A silence fell between them, heavy with unspoken words and lost years. Aunt Pauline told me things, Lily finally said. About you and Mom. About the divorce. Warren nodded, waiting. She said Mom was having an affair with Victor before you separated. That you found out and confronted them. Lily's blue eyes, so like his own, searched his face. Is that true? Yes, Warren confirmed quietly. I came home early from a work trip. They were together in our bed. Lily winced. Mom always said you grew apart, that you chose your business over your marriage. That's not what happened. Why didn't you fight harder for me? After the divorce, Warren felt old pain surfacing. I did fight, Lily. I spent every penny I had on lawyers. But your mother had Victor's money behind her, and she convinced you that I was the villain. I remember her crying, Lily said slowly, saying you were trying to take me away from her, that you thought she was unfit. I never said that. I wanted joint custody, time with both parents. And the weekend visits that stopped? She said you canceled them. Warren shook his head. You started saying you didn't want to come, that you had plans with friends, school projects. Eventually, the excuses became outright refusals. Lily looked down at her coffee. I remember Victor saying you didn't really want to see me, that you were just doing it out of obligation. Nothing could be further from the truth. Warren reached across the table, stopping just short of touching her hand. You are the most important person in my life. Tears welled in Lily's eyes. I've been so stupid, so blind. No, Warren said firmly. You were a child caught between warring parents. The adults in your life failed you. Including you? Lily challenged, a flash of her mother's spirit showing through. Warren nodded, accepting the criticism. I should have found a way to reach you. Should have fought harder against their narrative. For the next hour, they talked, really talked, for the first time in years. Warren was careful not to vilify Denise, focusing instead on his own feelings and experiences. He said nothing about Victor's financial troubles or his conversations with Howard Reed. Those revelations could wait. As they prepared to leave, Lily hesitated. Jackson and I are having a housewarming party next weekend. Would you come? Bring Marlene if you want. Warren felt a surge of hope. I like that very much. Mom and Victor will be there, Lily warned. It might be awkward. I can handle awkward if you can. Lily smiled, a genuine smile that reached her eyes. Then it settled. As Warren watched his daughter walk away, he felt both triumph and trepidation. The wall between them was beginning to crumble, but Victor and Denise wouldn't surrender their influence without a fight. His phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is Howard Reed. Are you free for dinner tomorrow? There's something we need to discuss regarding our mutual problem. Warren texted back his acceptance, his resolve hardening. It was time to move from defense to offense. Chapter 6. Countermeasures. The downtown chop house represented old money and power in the city, its wood-paneled walls and leather booths having hosted political deals and corporate mergers for decades. Howard Reed was already seated in a private corner booth when Warren arrived. Hope you don't mind the location, Howard said as they shook hands. I find it useful to have conversations like these where they won't be overheard. Warren nodded, taking in Howard's serious expression. Sounds ominous. It may be. Howard ordered scotch for both of them before continuing. I received some troubling information. Victor Preston has been asking questions about you, about your business, your personal life. Warren wasn't surprised after Tessa's warning. Any idea why? My sources suggest he's looking for leverage. Something to discredit you with Lily. Or worse. Worse. Howard's expression was grave. Men like Victor don't surrender gracefully, Warren. They fight dirty when cornered. Their drinks arrived, and Howard waited until the server had left before continuing. Victor approached one of my executive vice presidents yesterday, offered him a ground floor opportunity in a new development project. When pressed for details, he mentioned having investments from Jackson's father-in-law. Warren's eyebrows shot up. He's using my name? Implying your involvement. Yes. Creating an association that doesn't exist. Howard sipped his scotch. It's a common tactic. Use legitimate names to lend credibility to illegitimate operations. That son of a bitch, Warren muttered. Indeed. But there's more. Howard leaned forward. My security team reports Victor met with some unsavory characters yesterday. Men with connections to loan sharks and debt collectors. Warren recalled Tessa's findings about Victor's high-interest loans. He's desperate, and desperate men are dangerous. Howard studied Warren across the table. I've taken measures to protect Jackson and Lily. I suggest you do the same for yourself. What kind of measures? Security systems. Cameras. Being aware of your surroundings. Howard's tone was matter-of-fact. I don't think Victor would resort to physical violence personally, but he might hire it done. Warren absorbed this information, his jaw tightening. I appreciate the warning. Consider it professional courtesy and personal concern. Howard swirled his scotch. My son cares deeply for your daughter. Her happiness is tied to yours. They spent the rest of dinner discussing business and family, finding common ground in their love of craftsmanship and concern for their children. By the time they parted, Warren felt he had gained not just a business connection, but a potential ally. The next morning, Warren arrived at his workshop to find the door ajar. Inside, chaos greeted him. Furniture smashed, tools scattered, with supplies destroyed. On his workbench, someone had carved "back off" in jagged letters. Floyd arrived minutes after Warren called him. Jesus Christ, he muttered, surveying the damage. Who did this? Take a wild guess, Warren replied grimly, already on the phone with the police. The responding officers took photographs and dusted for fingerprints, but Warren held little hope they'd find anything useful. This was a message, not a random break-in. As Warren was giving his statement, Marlene rushed in, her face pale with worry. Are you okay? Floyd called me. I'm fine. The workshop's not. Marlene surveyed the destruction, her expression hardening. This was Victor. Most likely. You need to press charges. With what evidence? Warren gestured around. There are no witnesses, no cameras. The police left after promising to increase patrols in the area. Warren, Floyd, and Marlene stood amid the wreckage of Warren's livelihood. What now? Floyd asked. Warren's phone rang before he could answer. Lily, Dad. Her voice was tight with emotion. I just heard about your workshop. Are you okay? I'm fine, sweetheart. Just some property damage. This is horrible. Do you know who did it? Warren hesitated. The police are investigating. Was it Victor? Lily's question was direct, surprising Warren. Why would you think that? Because I've been asking questions, Dad. About the past, about Mom's finances. Victor was furious when he found out I'd been talking to Aunt Pauline. Her voice dropped. And I found something in their house yesterday when I was picking up some old photo albums. What did you find? Financial documents. Transfers from Mom's accounts to Victor's businesses. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Warren closed his eyes. Lily, be careful. Don't confront them with this. Too late. I asked Mom about it last night. She got defensive, said I was invading their privacy. Victor was scary. I've never seen him like that. Warren's concern deepened. Where are you now? At work. I'm fine, Dad. Lily paused. Jackson's father has offered us security. He thinks Victor might be desperate. Howard's right. Victor's in financial trouble. He sees your connection to the Reeds as his salvation. So all these years, he kept us apart because he was afraid you'd interfere with his plan? Lily's voice cracked. He used me. Used both of you, Warren confirmed gently. Your mother too, most likely. After ending the call, Warren surveyed his destroyed workshop with new resolve. Victor had escalated from manipulation to intimidation. The time for caution had passed. I need to make some calls, Warren told Floyd and Marlene, starting with Tessa Wong. By that evening, Warren had installed security cameras at his home and remaining workshop, with Floyd volunteering to stay in the guest room as additional protection. Marlene had contacted a lawyer friend who specialized in restraining orders, though they all knew it would be nearly impossible to prove Victor's involvement in the vandalism. Warren's phone buzzed with a text from Lily. Housewarming's still on for Saturday. Security will be present. Please come. Despite the circumstances, Warren felt a glimmer of satisfaction. Victor's desperate actions were having the opposite effect of what he intended, pushing Lily closer to Warren instead of driving them apart. The next day brought unexpected support. Howard Reed arrived at Warren's workshop with 2 security specialists who upgraded the basic system Warren had installed and added motion sensors and panic buttons. Consider it an investment in my future grandchildren's grandfather, Howard said simply when Warren protested the expense. You're very confident about grandchildren, Warren observed. Howard smiled. Jackson and Lily are already discussing it. You want a big family. The thought of grandchildren, of being present in their lives from the beginning, filled Warren with fierce determination. He wouldn't let Victor steal that future from him, too. Saturday evening arrived, and Warren drove to Jackson and Lily's new penthouse apartment with Marlene beside him, both dressed casually but well for the housewarming party. "Ready for this?" Marlene asked as they parked. Warren nodded grimly. "As I'll ever be." The apartment was stunning, open concept with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. About 30 guests mingled throughout the space, many from the wedding that Warren recognized. Jackson greeted them warmly at the door. "Warren, Marlene, glad you could make it." He lowered his voice. "Fair warning, Victor and Denise are here. Security's keeping an eye on them." Warren nodded his thanks, scanning the room. He spotted Denise by the bar, looking tense despite her perfect makeup and designer dress. Victor was holding court with a group of men in one corner, his charming facade firmly in place. Lily approached, hugging Warren and Marlene. "Thank you for coming. I know it must be awkward." "Nothing would keep me away," Warren assured her. The party progressed with the forced politeness of people determined to avoid confrontation. Warren kept his distance from Denise and Victor, focusing instead on reconnecting with his daughter and getting to know her new husband better. The careful balance shattered when Victor, several drinks in, approached Warren by the windows. "Enjoying yourself?" Victor asked, his tone falsely casual. "Playing the devoted father after all these years." Warren kept his voice even. "I've always been devoted, Victor. You just worked very hard to hide that fact." Victor's smile didn't reach his eyes. "You know, Warren, accidents happen in wood shops all the time. Fingers lost, machinery malfunctions. Tragic, really. Is that a threat? Just an observation. Life is unpredictable." Victor sipped his whiskey, especially when people don't know their place. "My place is with my daughter," Warren replied evenly. "Something you've tried to prevent for years. For good reason. You're not worthy of her." Victor's mask slipped, revealing the contempt beneath. "A small-time furniture maker playing at being an artist. You couldn't provide for Denise the way I can, couldn't give Lily the opportunities I've made possible. Like draining her mother's accounts to fund your failing businesses?" Warren countered quietly. "Those kinds of opportunities?" Victor's face hardened. "You're out of your depth, Warren. Walk away while you still can. Or what? You'll vandalize my shop again? Try to intimidate me?" Warren stepped closer. "I'm not afraid of you, Victor. You should be." Victor's voice dropped to a menacing whisper. "I demolished your family once. I can do much worse now." Before Warren could respond, Jackson appeared beside them. "Everything okay here?" "Just catching up," Victor said smoothly, his mask back in place. "Warren was telling me about his latest projects." "Actually," Warren said, his patience finally snapping, "Victor was just threatening me." Again, Jackson's expression darkened. "Is that true, Victor?" "Of course not." Warren's being dramatic. Victor laughed dismissively. "Too much wine, perhaps." "I don't drink wine," Warren said flatly. "And I'm not imagining the threats, or the destruction of my workshop, or the years you've spent turning my daughter against me." Victor's face flushed with anger. "You're delusional." "Security," he called, gesturing to one of the men Howard had stationed around the apartment. "This man is causing a scene. He should be removed." The security guard approached, but instead of escorting Warren out, he addressed Jackson. "Everything all right, Mr. Reed?" Jackson nodded. "Warren stays. Victor, I think you and Denise should leave." Victor's facade cracked completely. "You can't throw us out. We're family." "No," Lily said, appearing beside Jackson. "You're not. Not anymore." Denise rushed over, sensing the confrontation. "Lily, what's happening?" "I know everything, Mom," Lily said, her voice steady despite the tears in her eyes. "About Dad, about the divorce, about the money you've given Victor. All of it." Denise paled. "Lily, you don't understand." "I understand perfectly. You lied to me for years. You kept me from my father. I was protecting you." Denise insisted. "No, you were protecting yourself. And him." Lily gestured to Victor, whose charm had abandoned him completely, leaving only naked calculation in his expression. "This is ridiculous," Victor snapped. "You're believing this man over your own mother? Over me, who's been more of a father to you than he ever was." "You were never my father," Lily replied coldly. You were just the man who helped destroy my family. The party had gone silent, all eyes on the unfolding drama. Victor looked around, realizing he was losing control of the situation. Come on, Denise. We're leaving. He grabbed Denise's arm roughly. These ungrateful children can play house without us. As they stormed toward the exit, Victor turned back for one final shot. This isn't over, Warren. Not by a long shot. After they left, Lily collapsed into tears, the emotion of the confrontation finally overwhelming her. Warren, unsure of his place, hesitated until Jackson gestured him forward. She needs you, Jackson said simply. Warren held his daughter as she cried, 7 years of manipulation and lies finally breaking through the surface. It's okay, Lily, he murmured. I'm here now. The party dispersed quickly after that, guests making awkward excuses to leave. Soon only Warren, Marlene, Jackson, Lily, and Howard remained. That could have gone better, Jackson said dryly, pouring drinks for everyone. Howard shook his head. It went exactly as it needed to. Victor showed his true colors. He's dangerous, Warren warned. More so now that he's desperate. That's why I've assigned full-time security to all of you, Howard replied, and why I've had my legal team preparing documentation of his financial misdeeds. Lily looked up surprised. You have? Howard nodded. Victor crossed the line when he threatened Warren and vandalized his business. I don't tolerate that kind of behavior toward family. Family, Lily repeated softly, glancing at Warren. Yes, Howard confirmed. All of us together. That's what Victor fears most, that we'll unite against him. What do we do now? Marlene asked. Warren exchanged glances with Howard, an unspoken understanding passing between them. We prepare, Warren said, for whatever he tries next. As they left that night, Warren found himself included in family hugs. Lily holding him tightly, Jackson clasping his shoulder, Howard nodding in respect. Despite Victor's threats and the uncertain days ahead, Warren felt something he hadn't experienced in years, the solid foundation of family beneath his feet once more. Chapter 7. Gathering Storm. 3 weeks after the housewarming confrontation, Warren sat across from Glenda Lawson in a private room at the Bridgeport Hotel. Now in her late 50s, Glenda retained the elegant bone structure that had likely caught Victor's eye years ago, but stress had carved deep lines around her eyes and mouth. Thank you for meeting me, Warren said after they'd ordered coffee. Glenda nodded, her hands trembling slightly. Tessa convinced me it was important, that I might help prevent Victor from hurting more people. That's exactly why I wanted to talk. My daughter was manipulated by Victor for years. I'm trying to understand how he operates, to make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else. Glenda took a deep breath. I met Victor at a charity gala. I was recently widowed, vulnerable, wealthy from my husband's insurance. Her bitter smile held no humor. Perfect prey. How long were you married? 3 years. Long enough for him to isolate me from friends and family, convince me my judgment couldn't be trusted, and gain control of my finances. Glenda's voice remained remarkably steady despite the painful subject. By the time I realized what was happening, he transferred most of my assets to his business accounts. How did you get away? My brother refused to be shut out. He kept showing up, kept calling, even when Victor tried to prevent it. Eventually, he helped me see what was happening. Glenda's eyes filled with tears. I left with nothing but a suitcase and my brother's support. Victor fought the divorce, threatened me, had me followed. Warren leaned forward. Did he ever become physically violent? Glenda hesitated. Not directly, but things would happen. A car with failed brakes, a gas leak in my apartment. Nothing could be traced back to him, of course. Warren felt a chill. How did it end? My brother hired a private investigator who found evidence of Victor's affairs during our marriage. We used it as leverage for a clean break. No alimony claims from either side. And that was the last you heard from him? Glenda nodded. Until he married your ex-wife, and I saw the announcement in the society pages. I tried to warn her anonymously. I doubt she ever got my letter. Probably not, Warren agreed. Victor would have intercepted it. Has he threatened you? Glenda asked perceptively. My workshop was vandalized. Clear warnings to back off. Glenda wasn't surprised. That's his pattern. Intimidation, isolation, financial control. When those fail, escalation. I need to protect my daughter without pushing her away again, Warren explained. She's just beginning to see Victor for who he really is. Document everything, Glenda advised. Every threat, every strange incident. Victor relies on plausible deniability and gaslighting. Evidence is your best defense. They talked for another hour, Glenda providing details of Victor's manipulative tactics and business practices. When they finally parted, she handed Warren a sealed envelope. My official statement about my marriage to Victor Preston, she explained. Notarized and witnessed. Use it however you need to. Warren accepted the envelope gratefully. Why are you willing to help? It must be painful to revisit this. Glenda's expression hardened. Because I've spent years blaming myself, feeling ashamed. If my experience can help your daughter escape his influence, maybe something good can come from it. After Glenda left, Warren called Howard Reed. I met with Victor's ex-wife. She confirmed everything we suspected and more. Good, Howard replied. Because we may need it sooner than expected. Victor's made some worrying moves. What kind of moves? He's approached several of my business associates, claiming to represent a family investment group that includes the Reeds, using our name to solicit funds. Howard's voice was tight with controlled anger. My legal team is preparing cease and desist letters, but that's just treating symptoms. What do you suggest? A more permanent solution. Can you meet tomorrow? My office, 3 p.m. Bring everything you have on Victor. Warren agreed, then called Tessa to request copies of all her findings. Next, he contacted Floyd and Marlene, asking them to compile any evidence of threats or vandalism. Finally, he reached out to Pauline, who promised to bring financial documents she'd secretly copied from Denise's home office. The pieces were coming together for a confrontation Warren had been anticipating for years. That evening, Lily called, sounding distressed. Dad, Mom showed up at my office today. She was crying, saying Victor's changed, that he's been having mood swings, making threats. Warren tensed. What kind of threats? She wouldn't specify, just said she's afraid of him now. Lily sounded conflicted. I don't know if I should believe her after everything, but she seemed genuinely terrified. Be careful, Lily. This could be another manipulation, or she could really be in trouble. Lily sighed. Despite everything, she's still my mother. I know, sweetheart. Warren hesitated. I'm meeting with Howard tomorrow. We're putting together evidence of Victor's activities. If your mother is truly afraid, maybe she should come forward with what she knows. I'll suggest it, Lily promised. But she's been under his influence for so long. People can change when they see the truth, Warren said, thinking of his daughter's own journey. The next day, Warren arrived at Howard Reed's office with a thick folder of evidence. He was surprised to find not just Howard waiting, but also Jackson, Lily, and Pauline. We're all affected by Victor's actions, Howard explained. We should all be part of the solution. They spread their evidence across Howard's conference table. Financial records, threatening texts, vandalism photos, Glenda's statement, Tessa's reports. Together, they painted a damning picture of a man who had systematically manipulated and exploited those around him. This is more than enough for a restraining order, Pauline said, examining the collection. Possibly criminal charges for the threats and vandalism. The problem, Howard noted, is proving Victor's direct involvement. He's careful to maintain plausible deniability. What about Mom? Lily asked. If she really is afraid of him now, could she testify? If we could convince her, Warren said doubtfully. But Victor's hold on her is strong. Maybe not as strong as before, Pauline countered. Denise called me this morning, asking if she could stay with me for a few days. Said she and Victor had a huge fight about money. A spark of hope ignited in Warren's chest. If Denise turns against him, Victor loses his last shield. Then that's our next step, Howard decided. Pauline, see if Denise will meet with all of us. Somewhere safe, neutral. My father's lake house, Jackson suggested. Remote, secure, and Victor doesn't know about it. They planned the meeting for the following weekend, hoping to convince Denise to break free from Victor's influence and join their united front against him. As they were wrapping up, Warren's phone buzzed with a text from Floyd. Shop's on fire. Get here now. Warren's blood ran cold. I have to go. My workshop's burning. Jackson insisted on driving him, while Howard called ahead to the fire department and police. By the time they arrived, thick black smoke was billowing from the windows of Warren's workshop, firefighters working to contain the blaze. Floyd stood across the street, face smudged with soot. I was locking up when I smelled gas, he explained hoarsely. Barely got out before the place went up. Was anyone hurt? Warren asked urgently. No, thank God. But Warren, this wasn't an accident. I found a broken window in the back, and the gas line had been tampered with. A police detective approached, introducing herself as Detective Rivera. Mr. Blackwood, we're treating this as possible arson. Do you have any security footage? Yes, cameras on all entrances. The feedback's up to a cloud server. While Warren provided access information to the detective, Howard made calls, arranging for additional security for everyone involved and expediting their plans to confront Victor. That night, Warren stayed at Marlene's apartment, too shaken to return to his empty house. They sat on her couch, a bottle of whiskey between them. He could have killed Floyd, Warren said, his voice hollow, if he'd been working late like he usually does. Marlene squeezed his hand, but he wasn't, and now we have proof of how far Victor will go. Warren nodded grimly. No more waiting. No more gathering evidence. It's time to end this. The next morning brought unexpected news. Detective Rivera called to report they had identified a suspect from the security footage, a known arsonist with ties to loan sharks Victor had borrowed from. The man had been arrested trying to leave town. Will he testify against Victor? Warren asked. He's considering a deal, Rivera confirmed. But these guys are usually loyal to whoever pays them. We'll need more than his testimony to connect Victor to the arson. I might have what you need, Warren said, thinking of the evidence they compiled. Can I come to the station? By that afternoon, Warren had shared their findings with Detective Rivera, who promised to pursue the connection to Victor aggressively. Meanwhile, Pauline confirmed that Denise had agreed to meet with them at the lake house that weekend. She's terrified, Pauline reported. Says Victor's become erratic, threatening. She's staying with me until the meeting. Everything was falling into place, but Warren remained cautious. Victor had proven himself dangerous and unpredictable. The final confrontation would require careful planning and preparation. Howard provided security for the lake house meeting. 2 professionals who swept the property for surveillance devices and maintained a perimeter. Warren, Lily, Jackson, Pauline, and Marlene arrived early, preparing the space and reviewing their strategy. Denise arrived last, looking nothing like the polished socialite Warren remembered from a wedding. Her designer clothes had been replaced by jeans and a sweater, her perfect makeup absent, dark circles visible beneath her eyes. Thank you for coming, Lily said, hugging her mother tentatively. Denise clung to her daughter, tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry, Lily. For everything. They gathered in the lake house's spacious living room, Denise seated in the center, visibly nervous. We're not here to attack you, Denise, Warren began, keeping his voice gentle despite years of justified anger. We're here because we're all concerned about Victor's escalating behavior. Denise nodded, wiping away tears. I should have seen it years ago. The controlling behavior, the isolation, the financial demands. He's been bleeding me dry for years. Why now? Pauline asked bluntly. What changed? The wedding, Denise admitted. Seeing Warren there, seeing Lily reconnect with him, Victor became obsessed with maintaining control. And when his latest development project failed, he blamed me for not contributing enough money. She looked at Warren directly. He admitted to vandalizing your workshop, said it was a warning. When that didn't work, he arranged the fire, Warren finished grimly. Denise nodded, fresh tears falling. He was drunk, boasting about how he'd taken care of the problem. I realized then what I'd allowed into our lives. We need your help, Denise, Howard said. Your testimony, combined with the evidence we've gathered, could put Victor away for a long time. He'll kill me, Denise whispered fearfully. Not if we act first, Warren promised. Together, we can end this. For the next 2 hours, they outlined everything they knew about Victor's activities. The financial fraud, the harassment, the arson, the pattern of abuse stretching back to Glenda. Denise filled in crucial gaps, including details of financial transactions Victor had forced her to make and conversations she'd recorded on her phone in recent weeks. "I'll testify," she finally agreed. For Lily, for all the years Victor stole from her and Warren. As they prepared to leave, Warren found himself alone with Denise for the first time in years. "I don't expect forgiveness," she said quietly. "What I did to you, to our family, it's unforgivable." Warren studied the woman he'd once loved, seeing both the familiar and the stranger she'd become. "We all made mistakes, Denise." "No," she shook her head firmly. "What I did was deliberate. I was hurt, angry, and I wanted to hurt you back. Using Lily that way." Her voice broke. "I'll regret it until the day I die." Warren felt years of anger beginning to loosen its grip on his heart. Not forgiveness yet, but perhaps the beginning of understanding. "Help us stop Victor. That's all I ask right now." Denise nodded, determination replacing fear in her eyes. "I will. I promise." As they drove back to the city, Warren felt a sense of grim satisfaction. The confrontation with Victor was coming, and this time, Warren wouldn't be facing him alone. Chapter 8, Judgment Day. The trap was set with meticulous care. Howard Reed's legal team had prepared documentation of all of Victor's fraudulent activities, ready to present to the district attorney. Detective Rivera had built a solid case connecting Victor to the arson through financial records showing payments to the arrested suspect. Denise had provided recorded conversations proving Victor's involvement in the vandalism of Warren's workshop and threats against him. All that remained was to confront Victor directly, to give him one chance to surrender peacefully before the full weight of the law descended upon him. The confrontation was scheduled for Howard Reed's office, under the pretense of discussing a family investment opportunity. Security would be present but discreet, with Detective Rivera and 2 officers waiting in an adjacent conference room. Warren arrived early, tension coiling in his stomach. This moment had been years in the making, the chance to finally hold Victor accountable for the destruction of his family. "Nervous?" Howard asked, joining Warren by the windows. "Concerned," Warren admitted. "Victor's cornered, which makes him dangerous. That's why we have security, the police, and a solid plan." Howard clasped Warren's shoulder. "This ends today, one way or another." Jackson and Lily arrived next, followed by Pauline with a still anxious Denise. They gathered in Howard's spacious office, reviewing their roles one final time. Denise would lead the conversation, presenting Victor with evidence of his crimes and offering him a choice: surrender peacefully or face maximum prosecution. At precisely 2 p.m., Victor arrived. He entered Howard's office with his customary confidence, though Warren noted new strain around his eyes and mouth. "Well, isn't this cozy?" Victor remarked, taking in the assembled group. His smile faltered when he spotted Denise. "Darling, I've been worried sick. Why haven't you come home?" Denise straightened her shoulders. "Because I'm afraid of you, Victor." Victor's expression darkened momentarily before he smoothed it back into concerned confusion. "Afraid? Of me? Denise, what has gotten into you?" He glanced around the room, his gaze lingering on Warren. "What lies have they been telling you?" "No lies, Victor," Howard said, stepping forward. "Just facts. Please sit down." Victor remained standing. "I prefer to stand. Thank you. Now, someone explain why my wife has disappeared and why I've been summoned to this intervention." Denise took a deep breath. "Victor, we know everything. About the financial fraud, the threats against Warren, the vandalism, the arson." "Arson?" Victor laughed incredulously. "You've all lost your minds." "We have proof," Warren stated flatly. "The man you hired to burn down my workshop has been arrested. He's talking to the police." For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Victor's face. "I have no idea what you're talking about." Howard pressed a button on his desk. A recording played. Victor's voice, slurred with alcohol, boasting to Denise about teaching Warren a lesson with fire. Victor's face paled as his own voice filled the room. "That's been edited," he snapped when the recording ended. "Taken out of context." "The full recording has been provided to the police," Howard replied calmly, "along with financial records showing your payment to the arsonist, statements from your previous victims, and evidence of your fraudulent business practices. Victor's charm evaporated, replaced by cold calculation. So, this is a shakedown? What do you want? Money? Because I assure you, I have excellent lawyers. This is a negotiation. Lily spoke up, her voice steady. It's an opportunity for you to do the right thing for once. Victor turned to her, his expression softening in a practiced way. Lily, sweetheart, I've only ever wanted what's best for you. These people, even your mother, they're manipulating you. Like you manipulated me against my father for years. Lily challenged. I know the truth now, Victor. All of it. Victor's facade cracked further. He turned to Denise, his tone hardening. You ungrateful bitch. After everything I've done for you, for Lily. You've done nothing but use us, Denise replied, finding courage in the support surrounding her. You isolated me from my family, turned my daughter against her father, drained my accounts to fund your failing businesses. You wanted the lifestyle, Victor snarled. The house, the cars, the social status. I provided that. At what cost? Warren interjected. My relationship with my daughter? Denise's financial security? Other people's safety when you resorted to arson and intimidation. Victor's gaze snapped to Warren, naked hatred in his eyes. You. This is all because of you. If you had just stayed away, accepted that Lily wasn't yours anymore. She was always mine, Warren interrupted quietly. No matter what lies you told her. Victor lunged toward Warren suddenly, but security personnel appeared instantly, restraining him. At the same moment, Detective Rivera entered with 2 uniformed officers. Victor Preston, Rivera announced, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit arson, criminal threats, vandalism, and financial fraud. You have the right to remain silent. As the detective continued reading Victor his rights, the fight seemed to drain out of him. He glared at each of them in turn, his gaze lingering longest on Denise. You'll regret this, he said as the officers handcuffed him. All of you. After the police led Victor away, a heavy silence fell over the room. Years of manipulation, lies, and fear culminating in this moment of justice and reckoning. Denise collapsed into tears, Pauline moving to comfort her. Lily stood frozen until Jackson wrapped his arms around her. Warren and Howard exchanged a glance of grim satisfaction. It's over, Howard said quietly. The arrest is just the beginning, Warren cautioned. There will be a trial, testimony. But he can't hurt any of us anymore, Lily said, her voice steadying. That's what matters. Warren nodded, feeling the weight of 7 lost years pressing on him. They had achieved justice, but what had been broken couldn't be instantly repaired. The real work, rebuilding trust, healing relationships, was just beginning. That evening, they gathered at Jackson and Lily's apartment, a somber celebration of their success. News reports were already covering Victor's arrest, connecting it to a larger investigation into his business practices. The DA thinks they can make a strong case even without our testimony, Howard reported after a phone call. But having Denise and the financial records will ensure he doesn't evade justice. Denise, subdued but calmer, sat beside Pauline. I'll testify to whatever they need. It's the least I can do. Warren, watching from across the room, felt an unexpected pang of sympathy for his ex-wife. She had been both victim and accomplice in Victor's schemes, manipulated but also willing to believe the worst of Warren. What will you do now? He asked her quietly when they found themselves momentarily alone. Denise looked startled by the question. I don't know. The house will have to be sold to pay debts. My investments are mostly gone. She gave a sad smile. Start over, I suppose. At 50, it's never too late, Warren said, thinking of his own journey back from the brink. Too late for some things, Denise replied, glancing toward Lily. I cost her so many years with you. Cost you so much time with her. We can't change the past. No, Denise agreed. But I want you to know, I'm truly sorry, Warren. Not just because Victor turned out to be a monster, but because what I did was wrong. Using Lily against you, poisoning her mind. I was hurt and bitter, but that's no excuse. Warren nodded, accepting her apology without offering immediate forgiveness. Some wounds would take more time to heal. Later that night, as the gathering wound down, Lily approached Warren. Dad, Would you help me with something? She led him to a small study off the main living area. Inside, carefully arranged on a table, were dozens of items: birthday cards, Christmas presents, graduation gifts, all unopened. I found these in Mom's storage unit last week, Lily explained, her voice thick with emotion. Everything you sent me over the years. She kept them from me, but she didn't throw them away. Warren stared at the physical evidence of his attempts to maintain a connection with his daughter. Gifts chosen with care, cards written with love, all unseen until now. I thought maybe, Lily continued hesitantly, we could open them together. If you want to. Warren felt tears threatening. I like that very much. They sat together, opening 7 years of misconnections. Each card read aloud, each gift unwrapped with care. Warren explained the meaning behind each choice. The silver bracelet for her 16th birthday, engraved with their special saying. The first edition of her favorite childhood book for college graduation. The hand-carved chess set for her master's degree completion. By the time they finished, both were crying openly. Warren pulled his daughter into a hug, feeling the years of separation beginning to heal. I'm so sorry, Dad, Lily whispered against his shoulder. You have nothing to be sorry for, Warren assured her. You were a child caught in an adult war. But I believe them. I should have questioned, should have reached out to you. That responsibility wasn't yours. Warren held her at arm's length. All that matters now is that we've found our way back to each other. As they rejoined the others, Warren felt a sense of completion that had been missing for years. Victor was facing justice. Denise had acknowledged her wrongdoing. And most importantly, Warren had his daughter back. The road ahead would have challenges: rebuilding his business after the fire, navigating the legal proceedings against Victor, establishing new boundaries with Denise. But for the first time since that devastating day when he discovered Denise's betrayal, Warren felt genuine hope for the future. Chapter 9. New Beginnings. 6 months later, Warren stood in his newly rebuilt workshop, surveying the space with satisfaction. The insurance settlement, combined with a business loan from Howard Reed's bank, had allowed him to create a workspace even better than before. More natural light, improved equipment, enough room for the 2 apprentices he'd recently hired. The bell over the door jingled, announcing Marlene's arrival. She carried 2 cups of coffee and a newspaper tucked under her arm. Morning, handsome, she greeted him with a kiss. Thought you could use this. You've been here since dawn. Warren accepted the coffee gratefully. Big day. Jackson and Lily are coming to see the finished crib. They're going to love it. Marlene admired the cherrywood crib Warren had spent months perfecting. It's beautiful. Warren ran his hand over the smooth headboard, carved with an intricate tree of life design. Hard to believe I'm going to be a grandfather in 2 months. Grandpa Warren. Marlene grinned. Has a nice ring to it. The past 6 months had brought profound changes. Victor's trial had concluded with a 15-year sentence for arson, fraud, and criminal threats. Denise had testified against him, her cooperation earning her immunity from prosecution for financial improprieties. Warren had forgiven Denise, not instantly or easily, but gradually, recognizing that holding on to anger only poisoned his own happiness. They maintained a cautious, cordial relationship, united in their love for Lily and excitement about their coming grandchild. Denise had sold the house she'd shared with Victor, using the proceeds to clear debts and start a small interior design business. She was dating again, cautiously, a kind-hearted accountant who treated her with respect. Marlene had become an integral part of Warren's life, their relationship deepening from friendship to love. They were taking things slowly, both carrying baggage from previous relationships. But Warren had recently begun designing a ring, his intentions clear, if unspoken. The bell jingled again as Floyd entered, carrying a large package. Special delivery from Tessa Wong. Warren opened the package to find a framed newspaper article about Victor's sentencing, along with a note from Tessa, "Justice served. Thought you might want this souvenir. Should we hang it up?" Floyd suggested with a grin. Warren shook his head. No need to dwell on the past. This chapter's closed. The past months had also cemented Warren's friendship with Howard Reed. The older man had become a mentor and ally, providing business advice and commissioning custom furniture for Reed Technologies offices nationwide. Their shared values of craftsmanship, family, and integrity had created a bond that went beyond their children's marriage. At noon, Lily and Jackson arrived, her pregnancy now clearly visible in her 7th month. Warren embraced his daughter carefully, still marveling at the ease between them that had once seemed impossibly lost. "Let me see it," Lily said eagerly, moving toward the sheet-covered crib. Warren pulled away the covering to reveal his creation. The cherrywood gleamed with multiple coats of hand-rubbed finish, the carvings intricate but child-safe, every edge rounded and smooth. Lily gasped, running her hand over the tree of life carving. "It's perfect, Dad." "There's more," Warren said, showing them the hidden features, a drawer beneath for extra blankets, the rocking mechanism that could be locked in place when needed, the way it could later convert to a toddler bed. "You've thought of everything," Jackson said admiringly. "Thank you, Warren. This means a lot to us." "It's what grandfathers do," Warren replied simply. "Build things meant to last." After they'd examined every detail of the crib, the four of them went to lunch at the cafe next door. Warren noticed Lily wincing slightly as she sat. "Back pain?" he asked with concern. Lily nodded. "Doctor says it's normal. Another 2 months of this to go. Your mother had the same issue when she was pregnant with you," Warren recalled. "We found a special pillow that helped." "You'll have to tell me about it," Lily said. "Mom's been sharing pregnancy stories too. It's nice hearing both sides." Warren smiled, appreciating how far they'd all come. "I'm sure between all of us, this baby will have more support than it knows what to do with." Speaking of support, Jackson said, "Dad wanted me to invite you all to dinner this weekend. He's announcing a new charitable foundation, and he'd like Warren to be on the board." "Me?" Warren was surprised. "Why?" "Because you've got integrity and judgment," Jackson explained. "And because he considers you family now." Family. The word had new meaning for Warren now, expanded, redefined, stronger for having been tested and rebuilt. After lunch, Lily and Jackson left to meet with their pediatrician, promising to return the following weekend to transport the finished crib to their home. Back in the workshop, Warren and Marlene arranged tools for his afternoon class, a free woodworking course for at-risk teens that Warren had started as a way to give back to the community. "You know," Marlene observed, "a year ago, your life was in shambles. Workshop destroyed, estranged from your daughter, consumed by anger toward Victor and Denise." Warren nodded, acknowledging the truth in her words. "And now look," she continued. "New workshop, relationship with Lily restored, grandchild on the way, Victor behind bars, peace with Denise." She smiled warmly. "And me, of course." "Definitely you," Warren agreed, pulling her close. The best part of all, the first of his students began arriving, teenagers with troubled backgrounds who found focus and purpose in creating with their hands. Warren greeted each by name, seeing in them echoes of his younger self, working through grief and anger by shaping raw material into something beautiful. That evening, Warren sat on his back porch with Marlene beside him, watching the sunset. His phone buzzed with a text from Lily, an ultrasound image with the caption, "Baby's first picture for Grandpa." As he showed the image to Marlene, Warren reflected on the journey that had brought him here. 7 years ago, discovering Denise's betrayal had seemed like the end of everything he valued. The years of separation from Lily had been a wound that never healed, festering with anger and resentment. Then came the wedding invitation that never arrived, the humiliation at the reception, the now famous confrontation. "Sorry, your name isn't on the list." The shock, the hurt, confronting Denise. "Did you really think you were invited? Strangers aren't allowed." His dignified exit. "Then I'll live like a stranger." But that moment of deepest rejection had ultimately been the turning point. Jackson's intervention, Lily's awakening to the truth, Howard's alliance, the gathering of evidence against Victor, and finally, justice served. Warren had learned that revenge wasn't about destruction but restoration, restoring truth, restoring relationships, restoring justice. Not through violence or malice, but through patience, dignity, and unwavering resolve. "Penny for your thoughts," Marlene said, squeezing his hand. Warren smiled, returning to the present moment. Just thinking about how sometimes the worst day of your life can lead to the best years of your life if you don't give up. And you never gave up on Lily, Marlene observed. Never could, Warren agreed. Some bonds can't be broken, no matter how hard others try to sever them. As darkness fell, Warren felt a profound contentment. The past couldn't be changed, but the future stretched before him, filled with possibility. Watching his grandchild grow, building his business, deepening his relationship with Marlene, strengthening his renewed connection with Lily. Victor had tried to destroy Warren's family, but in the end had only forced it to evolve into something stronger, more honest, more appreciative of the bonds that truly mattered. Warren thought of the inscription he'd carved inside his granddaughter's crib, words that summed up everything he'd learned through this long journey. Family isn't made by blood alone, but by love, truth, and the courage to fight for both. And there you have it. Another story comes to an end. What did you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this story, consider joining our community by subscribing. It means the world to us. For more stories like this one, check out the recommended videos on screen, and I'll see you there.